Okay. All right. There you go. So this is all right. So this is I mean the document itself it says like free to play PvP damage reduction guide. Is there like a context to this, Ralph? Or is this just
Yeah, so yeah, this was like a guide for Nova originally of like a wealth of information on how to get to 2500 PvP point reduction,
uh-huh.
like pretty much free to play. It's actually totally free to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it originally was.
Okay. So give me a bit of context on this whole thing. What's like before we delve into this, just so people kind of know like what it's about. Like, so what is this like expose about? And what was the gist of like the issue?
Yeah, so I'll just preface this by saying like these are just my opinions, and I don't have 100% recollection because like we haven't really been like upset about this. And when I say we, I mean like our small little Bifrost group, which is me, Iceheart from Panda,
Mm-hmm.
Suzaku from Fusion,
Mm-hmm.
Biku, and Rolo basically, and there's a few other of us, but
Mm-hmm.
like we I thought had like a really reasonable request because we had been asking for a little while now to prep for a merge server front like when we go to the Odin tourney. So
Yeah.
basically we wanted to play with the strong players from the Brazilian guilds, which merged into a guild called Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of wanted to bring everyone to the table on that and have it be fair so that there wasn't like dissension and fighting in the guild.
Yeah.
And that's what started off like all this. Like that was the request. And there was also something going on out on the side though, because like the group of us in Bifrost were all kind of questioning Nova's leadership, um, because it didn't really seem like there was like a huge PvP focus in the guild.
Yeah.
And Rolo was really on top of like making requests and like saying, guys, like put forms together, like let's track progress and this and that. And they did. I mean, they did like put like forms together and stuff, but they didn't really do anything with them. As far as I know, like no announcements were made, so we were all just kind of sitting in this other guild, like basically buying out the auction for the sub guild. Like, what the hell are they doing over there?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a bunch of us got access to the data captures, like in the spreadsheet when they did run the forms,
Mm-hmm.
and when we looked through the numbers, we were concerned. So like we went back and we told Nova leadership, hey guys, like this is really behind. There's only 15 people that look like they're going to hit the minimum, so on and so forth. And we just didn't really feel like anything was being done, and that's where a lot of jokes, like in the expose, talk about. I think at some points, like they like watch K drama and stuff. Like
Oh
we
God.
would like see the movie night and K drama channel like full every night, which is fine. Like if you're doing stuff as a community, you're playing games, like cool. You know what I mean? Like doesn't it have to be all serious PvP stuff? But there was just a big like difference between the focus on the more recreational, I guess, community build stuff or community fun time stuff
Yeah.
and the actual like PvP focus. So we kind of felt like, they were putting too much weight on the whales, like expecting like these mega $1 million accounts to like
Yeah.
carry them
Yeah.
through this thing. And we were like, nah, like that's not cool. And then we were talking about getting together with the Brazilian guilds, and there were comments made about like, yeah, we'll take like 10 of them or we'll take 20 of them. At one point, I think 40 was thrown around or whatever. But Nova was pretty much like it's going to be on our terms. And that's when the proposal came in. And like the proposal was really like Rolo's plan, and Helios was in the conversation. I was in the conversation as
Mm-hmm.
well. But it was really like the two of them coming to an agreement on what a merge proposal would look like. And we proposed using Bifrost, which was that third party
Mm-hmm.
sub guild, as the host for Odin Tourney, so that there was like no like nobody was like butthurt, or nobody was like, well, we wanted to use our guild. It was nice neutral ground to
Uh-huh.
kind of like bring everybody to the table. And Helios, I felt, was really on board at first. They got on a call and he was pushing for it. Suzaku was pushing for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nova leadership, from what I understand, was just pretty much like, no, like there's no reason for us to do this. They've never beat us before. Like we're going to host the tournament and they're going to do this on our terms. And I had left the guild right around that time because I had my own personal stuff kind of going on with them. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to get too much into that, but I think there was definitely like I've been talking with Clutch Norris actually from NA. I just started talking to him again like a couple days ago,
Uh-huh.
and he knows the whole situation. He's like, yeah, man, I think there was like definitely grudges being held, like on all different sides, like just because of the way things panned out in NA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that, but I definitely felt like they were like singling me out. Like there was a bunch of other whales that were traveling in the guild, but like they kind of had me on a leash. Like, you got to come back and shot call for us, and like you have to come back and build morale in the guild, and like everybody knows your name and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but guys, like when I was in Nova, somebody was literally sniping my auction stuff. Like they would put me up for auction, and somebody would overbid my auction stuff. So I was like, this is so petty and so stupid. So I was like, I'm just gonna go to the sub guild
Mm-hmm.
and get my auction stuff there.
So no
And
guilty could contest your bids, basically.
yeah,
Yeah, which makes
yeah,
sense.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of like, there was just stuff I was noticing. Like they would single me out and they would ask like my motivations for stuff, and it's like, why isn't anybody going and like yelling at Rolo? Like why isn't anybody going and yelling at Iceheart? Like we're all kind of doing the same thing, but I felt really singled out,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that was just subjective or whatever. But the other problem is like,
I think it's because like
there
they were
is
just more
this.
familiar with you, so they find you like an easier person to target or
And that could, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that maybe could have been it, but like there were other like issues as well. Like there's that guy Evan from Pouring, I think, and his group came in,
Mm-hmm.
and like we're pretty sure like there's like a leak in that group with that dude. And I went back and forth, and he even acknowledged like that there's a leaker in his group, but like the amount of money that I have spent like in this version of the game, like the exact number at the time
Yeah.
got leaked out, where somebody in like the PR4, like one of the guilds in PR4 and LNA, like knew the amount of money that I had spent. And I was like, that's really weird because I only told like 3 people that figure. And I knew Evan was one of the people that asked. So I was like, I know that like Suzaku and Ice didn't say anything about this because they don't even know this guy in PR4. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, so it must have been you or somebody you told. And he acknowledged it, he apologized and all that. But then he started telling me, like, yeah, there's people in my group, um this guy, I guess, that also leaked other stuff we're finding, like even just weird non-game related personal stuff about like
Jesus
people dating
Christ.
people. So I was like, man, that sounds like a mess. I was like, are
What
we
the
gonna kick
fuck?
him from the guild or not? Because that sounds like a liability. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, that's drama. I don't want to do that, man. Let's just play the game. We'll remove access from him. And I was like, man, I
Okay.
feel like that's like not a good move, but
Yeah.
it was a number of things that happened towards me that just felt personal. Like I felt like I was being kind of personally targeted over things. And then combine that with like the inactivity on the PvP planning and kind of like hands-off
Yeah.
approach to the leads on that. I was like, this is just not a good fit for me. And I wrote them a message. I even said, guys,
Wait, so
hey, this isn't a good
so
this isn't a good fit for me.
let me get
Yeah.
this straight. So you're basically being targeted for doing something that could be considered competitive that would give you and whatever guild you're affiliated with an edge because now you're actually able to you're actually by going into a different into like a smaller guild that has no competition with bidding over the same stuff, you're able to
Oh,
spend the least and get the most progression for your
yeah.
character, and people had an issue with that.
Dude, it was so stupid. Like one of the leads told me, basically, I don't care about the server health. I only care about the guild. If the server dies, we'll just get a merge. And that's like almost verbatim. And then another one of the, and I was like, no, like
Yikes.
that's gonna be so boring. Like, why would you want to kill the server? And I have screenshots to back that up. So it's like, why would you want to do that? I was like, we played in global. The ties over there were super supportive. They were great to play with. Pantera 1 and Global has never even gotten a merge because the community is so alive. That's a successful server. That's
Mm-hmm.
my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, like, guys, we should merge and we should not be an island and form good relations with the Brazilians because later in the game, people will quit. Who knows when we'll need them or when we'll want to rely on them and play
Mm-hmm.
with them?
Especially with Odin
And
Cup.
same for them with us. Yeah. So, there was a lot of things I disagreed with, and they were very vocal and very like in alignment with like, no, we don't care about any of that. So I was like, well, that's not how I feel at all. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, yeah.
So Nova Guild is who? Is that like Helios? Is that
It's
them?
so it's the guild leader is Sarah, who's Yuna in the game. It's Helios. It's Evan in a small group from Pouring.
Uh-huh.
It's a Doll who's like nose job
Uh-huh.
in
Uh-huh.
NA. I don't know if you remember them.
Yeah, I remember.
Um, it's Nakia. And then it's like Zashi. It's like a handful of people combined from Fusion, old Akatsuki / Lumina, and then like, yeah, that Pouring group. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You're just cracking up, dude.
The-
You know what we're
I
dealing
already,
with, yo.
I kind of can
You
predict
know what we're dealing
what.
with.
Yeah, I haven't even read this like document really. But just from what you described to me, I can already tell the shit show that's gonna happen. And like for the people in chat, I'm just gonna give you guys a document in case you guys want to read it, or you want to read along with it. But yeah, so let's get into this, right? So it says, sorry, no, Nova part one, no, Nova leadership. Said they would rather lose Odin's Cup than combine forces with Legacy, which I'm guessing is like Rolo, you, and the rest, right? Is something that you
Well,
guys.
Legacy, we were Bifrost. Like Legacy is the Brazilian guild, so like they didn't want to combine forces with the Brazilian guild, which was our
Mm.
big WTF moment. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. For whatever reason, right? Like I can't really find a logical reason behind that besides like maybe a crazy severe attachment to the name. So to represent front five, your server, and in order to compete in Odin's Cup, which is like for context, I know like a lot of people here play Ru, but for those that didn't, Odin's Cup is basically a cross server tournament, and it is very commonplace for servers to unite within like the guilds that are in there, so they can have a better chance to place better, or if not win the whole competition, because the rewards for people that get up there are actually pretty substantial in terms of character progression. So there's no reason for you to not want to win it, and that's why they're trying to do this whole let's combine in like a guild. So from what I'm understanding, Nova and Legacy have agreed, or at some point in time agreed to just use the another guild called Bifrost, so that Nova name is not going up there, Legacy name is not going up there, so nobody's having any personal feelings about like either or guild getting the quote unquote
Yeah.
credit for their name. Okay.
And
Yeah.
we were going to rename the guild to just Frontera 5, which is just copycat of what Frontera 1 did in Global, but we were
Yeah.
just going to make it neutral like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. And so here's the proposal that they rejected, which is basically what you said. Bifrost will be the Shell Guild, renamed to Front Five. Okay. So wait, what was the issue with that then? All right. To represent the server for Odin's Cup. Slot allocations: 1 to 60 members from Nova, 60 members from Legacy, and then about 30 members from both guilds will be selected based on their rank standing, which makes sense because if you want to have the highest chance of winning, you would want people with the best stats, right? So that makes sense.
Except, yeah, it was just numbers. It was nothing personal.
Yeah,
And the way that original proposal hashed out, like Nova would have ended up having more because we had higher spenders,
yeah,
so like they were going to get a bigger share anyways, just going based on the proposal.
yeah. So it's 60. It's very even with a very logical selection process. It's whoever has the best stats. And I'm guessing that the stats that you guys have provided, like not everybody's a spender, right? Like so, I'm guessing like the minimum that you set was achievable by free to play players.
Well, that was the whole premise of that guide with Rolo, was really to get free to play players as far as they needed to be. The
Mm-hmm.
cutoff for like the merge guild was going to be like, I think 3,000 PvP damage reduction,
Mm-hmm.
which would be mostly like map 2 people, of course, but that was the cutoff, which we thought was reasonable, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody kind of agreed on that. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of this is pretty reasonable as well. And I see here, like, I think, oh yeah, this one's your message. Upgrading a combined force of the attorney. It doesn't matter which guild is stronger. It only matters now because you guys won't compromise. We put the same proposal to both sides. Legacy agreed. You guys didn't. So now we will have to try to bring you to the table. And the response here is, good luck, Raf. I guess Boba will win. Is this just them? What is that supposed to mean? Is that just them like giving up? Is it like, hey, I guess we're losing? Is
I
that?
I didn't hear this from really anyone outside of Sarah, but she said multiple times, like she said it to Suzaku and she said it to me, like, oh, like with these issues you're causing basically, or with like the drama this is causing, like there's not going to be a merge and like now we're all going to lose. And it was kind of like she was threatening, but you got to consider the context. Like we weren't actually holding anything up. We were trying to be neutral ground. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one that left Nova, and I didn't jump ship and go right to Legacy. Like I
Mm-hmm.
parked my butt in Bifrost, which is mostly free to play Brazilian players. Like
To
so,
bid
I pretty
for
much stayed
auction.
neutral. Even
Yeah.
after I left, I stayed neutral.
Okay.
And she started kind of making these threats, like, "Well, now nobody's gonna win. Like we're gonna sabotage this, or whatever. We're gonna ruin this for everybody." And then when that happened, Rolo kind of like took that as like, no, you're not going to do that like on my watch. And then this whole other thing started where like then we were moving towards working with Legacy more.
Wait, okay, so I'm seeing this chat now. It says y'all won't win Odin Cup and Nova either. Hope Boba wins. So I mean that sounds pretty spiteful
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. 100%.
And this
100%.
and what was the cause of this? Is just because they didn't agree with the terms, or I thought it was pretty
I
fair.
don't we don't know. Like that's the whole, and this is what I like. I talk with Evil Childs. I talk with a few people from Nova, and I tell them point blank, like, listen, if you, because they're like, how can we make this work? I'm like, make this work by having them accept Rolo's proposal. It's a fair proposal. All we wanted to do was get both guilds in with 50-50 say on neutral ground. Ice part was going to be like the GL as like a mediator and like as a center party between the two because Ice is
Mm-hmm.
super friendly with the Brazilians and we
Mm-hmm.
were in Nova, but they didn't want it for some reason. And like some of them were so obstinate, they're like, I'll never join Bifrost. And it's like, why are you being this way? Because
Why?
the people that were saying this are not even like carries or whale level people. Like I don't want to name names, but they're kind of like people that are gonna get carried through this. And it's like, why would you have that attitude when some of us are working really hard and spending money? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like we don't want to lose. You know what I mean?
So
And we have the power, the coordination, the history to make this
so,
work. So why are you being like this?
so
And they
to
were using their
be
leadership position, you
Yeah.
know?
So to be blunt, it's the useless motherfuckers that are say or that are against this. Like they have a say.
Yeah,
You
I don't
could
want to say
we
useless, but
you could word it a different way
yeah,
if you
they're
want, but I just want to be straight. I just want to be a straight shooter here. Like it's the useless
yeah,
motherfuckers that just okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that. Those
It
are
was the
my
K
words, by the
drama
way.
channel. It was the
That's
K drama channel enjoyers. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, yeah,
And just for context, that those are my own words. That's not what Raph said. Like he can put it however he wants, but that's just how I see it. Um. So I think I see here in the next chat, Helios. I think they might not merge and just rather fuck everyone over. Already, some are saying they won't join Bifrost no matter what. Is the to your knowledge, is there any sort of deep-rooted hate that they won't join this guild no matter what, despite the
well,
already like very from the looks of it very fair distribution here and selection process. So
and this is just like
if the
conjecture, man, or just like,
yeah,
God, sorry.
like this from what I'm seeing, right, and like for everybody seeing, I'll zoom in for everybody too, right? If you guys want to watch, if you're watching the video, you can go ahead and pause that and read it for yourself. But like from what I'm seeing here, this is very fair. So the only thing that I can assume that somebody is say like I would be against this is because of personal feelings. That's the only explanation, and from experience, the only way that people usually are against like such fair, like I'd say like standards, um, is because of the fact that like people might see this and then just be like, okay, like I'm not gonna get my way, or like I feel something about this guild. It has to be something personal, right? Because there's no way the conditions seem fair to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have to go off was like in the back and forth I had with Sarah, kind of when all the drama started. She tried to reason with me by being like, "Listen, like we already won an Odin Cup back in Fusion and NA," and it's like, yeah, but you know, like Panda had quit at that point, and it was a very different landscape. There was way less players, and like NA was a different beast from LNA. Like we want to put our best foot forward, and that's what I kept arguing. Like we want to put all of our strength as a server forward. She's like, I don't know why we can't just do this as a guild. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's not really fair. Like like these other players are better than our lower players and better than some of our mid players. Their mid was way better. Legacy's mid was way better than Nova. And it's like they deserve a spot at the table. They deserve a shot. And it would be smart for us to do so that we don't get fucking crushed in the Odin tournament unsuspectingly. So, you know, that's the only thing I had to go off. But the other thing that's like really pure conjecture, I think they were butthurt because when I quit the guild, I tried to leave on amicable terms. I left them a note. I said, "Hey guys, this just isn't working out for me. It's not the right focus that I'm looking for in a guild. Happy to play with you guys in Odin, you know, basically." And then I stayed in the Discord chat for
Yeah.
24 hours to field any questions, to talk about any concerns. Nobody said anything beyond like Evil Childs and Adonis,
So
who was ghetto and NA, saying like, have fun, Raph. You should be able to play with whoever you want to play. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, cool,
So
okay.
you
So
didn't lie. You were very honest with your reasons for leaving.
yeah,
Okay.
yep. And I had been warning the leadership for a few months, literally saying, hey, there's some of us that are really concerned that this is like not the development's not going the way we thought it was going to go. Like the lead activity is really hands off. So we think that there was some butthurt when I left because they
Mhm.
like that set off a whole shitstorm where they took it out on Iceheart, Rolo, and Souza, and they ended up kicking them out of the Nova Discord. And
Mhm.
those guys didn't even do anything. Like I could understand them being mad at me for leaving, but they also took it out on people that were just tangential to me. And it's like, okay, that must have like really upset them. And nobody even bothered to talk to me about it, but
Yeah,
they kicked them out.
but you did
So
it mostly because somebody was trolling you on the guild auctions.
oh yeah, they leaked my stuff. They leaked Rolo's guide. They were trolling me in the guild auctions. They were singling me out, calling me out on things, or arguing. They were also saying that I made promises to the Brazilian guilds that I never did, and I sent them the screenshot to show it. That I told them, I just to show them exactly what I told them. And then they also blamed me, saying like, "Oh, you're telling us all the time we have to kick half our guild out." And I had never said anything about that. I told Nakia when she brought that up to me, I said, Nakia, I've never brought up kicking a single person. I've just been working my account. I've been totally hands off. Rolo and Iceheart have been trying to figure out the numbers in the list with you. That has nothing to do with me. And it's like, why don't you go talk to Rolo about that?
So
Because I haven't said anything about that to you guys. I
the
don't know why you're singling me out on
yeah.
this.
So when you were accused of this, did they present any proof? Because like here's the thing: it's like people have to realize who the burden of proof lies like on.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
accuser. If you're gonna accuse somebody of something, you have to have proof, right? It's like the same thing with the drama that we had that I had before in NA. Like somebody I accused somebody of something, and I had the chat logs to prove it, right? So was there any proof presented to you when you were being accused of
no.
this, or none?
And I asked Sarah because Sarah came at me in a community. It wasn't the whole guild, but it was all the leadership. She's like called me out in front of the leadership, saying like, why am I hearing that Raph told the leader of Legacy that they get to play with us or whatever? And I put the screenshot, and literally all I said to this guy was like, yeah, I'm guessing, by the time tourney rolls around, like we'll all be merged up anyways. Like it was like an innocuous, like which seemed right to me and was what we were planning to do anyways. But I was like, and I showed the screenshot. I'm like, this is literally all I told this guy. And I kind of like, I was like, honestly, like Ice and Rolo have been talking with the Brazilians way more than me. So like, if anybody promised him a spot, go talk to like Ice or something because it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I've addressed that with Ice everything. No, nobody promised these guys anything though. That was the whole thing at the end of this. So I'm like, I don't know why you're singling me out. And I asked her, I said, can you show a screenshot of exactly what he said? And she didn't respond. She didn't show anything. So it's like, I don't even know what he told you, but you're just, and I told Sarah, it's like, we have a past, like, me, I know you, we played together in NA. Why not come to me directly if you have a concern? Why bring this up in a forum with all the leadership here where they can all jump on me now over this? And you don't even have any proof that I said anything. Like, that's just the wrong way to go about this. And I told her that's super disrespectful. You could have come to me as a friend and I would have shared with
Yeah.
you the conversation I had with them.
Communication is key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and then the next one that we have here, not sure, but Nakia already said she won't move to Bifrost no matter what. So again, we haven't found anything that would logically make sense for them to not do that, besides something personal, whatever that may be. And then Rolo here says, "You guys still haven't resolved this in 3 days. Why are you so petty and dramatic? If you guys spent all this time fixing your guild instead of crying, we wouldn't be here in the first place. The average member in Nova does not care about your feelings because, again, like right, they just want to win. Their primary focus is winning Odins. Exactly. Yet instead of aligning with this goal, you have chosen to manipulate the situation by using your fellow members as leverage." This selfish approach not only undermines the collective effort, but also demonstrates a complete disregard for the team's hard work and dedication, threatening to drag everyone down simply because you are not getting your way and your feelings are hurt, is not only immature, but also counterproductive. It's time to set aside personal grievances that literally no one but a group of 5 people care about and contribute to the team's success rather than sabotaging it out of spite. And that's okay. So that statement makes sense, right? That's basically the same words that I used to describe it earlier. Is that a lot of this seems like it was done out of spite, and if the statement, if this alleged statement is true, that only really like around like a group of 5 people care about it, there's 150 people in a guild. So you're telling me that like the 5 people that care about it don't care if the other 140, like 145 people that could benefit from this, uh, they're just disregarding what they felt about this. Like they just.
Oh man. Fast forward to like now, and we were getting messages even back then with people because like when they were saying come back to the guild because it'll build morale.
Mhm.
The reason for that was because me, Ice, like a few of us, like me especially though, because I just went on a carry whatever binge. I used to carry Nova people, and I still do actually through a lot of content. So like
Mhm.
Juperos carries and stuff,
Okay.
NT when it came out,
And game
even though we were
dungeons.
going through stuff. I still help them, and I help the Brazilian guilds too. So that's why like the Brazilian guilds really ended up liking us and Bifrost, and that's why the Nova community ended up liking me personally. And I spent a lot of time in DMs. I posted guides. I was in the Sniper, Synex. I was in multiple channels, always
Mhm.
helping people with just game knowledge from global and stuff, what to expect, what to aim for, differences from NA, all that sort of stuff. So they had a respect for me, and they reached out to me saying, "Hey, bro, what did you leave or something?" Because the Nova leads didn't even tell them. And I was like, yeah, I left on differences. Here's what we wanted to do. We wanted to play as a merged server for Frontera 5. And almost every single person I talked to was like, yeah, why wouldn't we do that? And
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
makes sense.
yeah, exactly. I was like, go talk to your leads, man, because your leads are disconnected from the player base. The player base is coming to me saying that's a great idea. It's a fair proposal, but your leads got upset over this. So yeah, 100%. Yeah. And a lot, I mean, fast forward now, we've had people come over from Nova at this point, and not like good players from Nova too, like decent PvP points, high PvP points,
Mhm.
and there's more people messaging us saying now that Nova has gotten beaten by Legacy and GL that like now they're like they want to come over now too. So it's like okay, well this is kind of the result of all this, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's what happens, right? Like if I was a member and I found out that like we were being held back because of personal feelings about with of like leadership that only really affect leadership, then you know what I mean. It's like imagine like the president of your country got butt hurt by somebody else, and they decided like, you know what, screw this whole country. I know this would benefit everybody in this country. I'm just gonna say no to it anyway because I hate this motherfucker. Like, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's just
exactly.
how you should act as a leader. So they said despite their own
Exactly.
mistakes, Nova chose to deflect responsibility by sending false accusations against Bifrost members. So now Bifrost is in the drama now. Instead of being just like the Shell Guild for disagreement demonstrating their unwillingness to accept fault. Okay, so I said, some of you might be wondering why our branchers participated in an attack against us in War of Imperium last night. They are no longer part of Nova. They were unhappy with how we were handling the progression of our members, which makes it matches what you just said. Um, PvP stats and have decided that we are not at the level they want to be for Odin. They have decided to take a different path in their pursuit of the Odin Cup. Thank you everyone for participating well. It was a challenging match, but everyone performed exceptionally well, regardless of which guilds we face. You have all demonstrated that we can achieve great things together as a guild. But imagine what greater things you could achieve if you actually just follow
Yeah,
the
and
yeah.
that explanation is a little bit off too,
Yeah.
because like the main reason I left the guild was not over the PvP points. That was one of my concerns. That was all of our concern.
Mm-hmm.
We were willing to work with them to remedy that because we have a lot of time. You know what I mean? And like there's still time even now to remedy a lot of the problems that we saw and see. But the main reason I left the guild was just because of it was personal stuff with me in the guild.
Mm-hmm.
Rolo, Ice, and Souza did not leave the guild, and that narrative is wrong. They kicked them out of the guild. So it's very, very different from in reality what happened. And those guys, yeah, they were concerned over the PvP points, but none of us left over PvP points. Like I left because of personal reasons and because they didn't want to play with the Brazilians in a merged guild. And even Rolo in we have like a separate chat. He even said like same thing. We didn't leave because of PvP points. We left because they didn't accept the proposal and didn't want to merge guilds. Like
Um,
that was the main issue,
I'm just
So
getting sorry. I'm just getting to this meme now. Okay, no, Willie. What's our plan for K-drama movie night? Odin tourney. Leak our info. Kill the server. Combine forces with Legacy to secure the W. Okay, okay. That's you too.
bro, I don't even want to be announced.
Um,
I actually made that one. I not to like blow smoke up my own ass, but
that was pretty
I
good.
had some time in Panda. I learned a little bit of the craft, so Yeah, but yeah, I had fun with that
Jesus
one.
Christ. Okay. They actually responded here. Hold on. Novus has decided to reply to what we have said. You all may have heard some things that have been going on these past few days, and this is Helios. Please allow us to explain. The argument that with the argument started with a disagreement on guild composition and PvP reduction needed for Odin's Cup. They wanted to set the PvP damage reduction to 3k, which is not possible without spending a fair amount. Is that true at this point in time? Do you need to spend?
Here's where they really, with this one response, they went very far off the rails, because then you'll see after this there's a lot of
Okay,
screenshots
okay, I'll
that
keep reading then.
show that he was gaslighting. But in Rolo's guide, it was 2467 or 2473
Mm-hmm.
PvP reduction points by like June something.
Okay.
So assuming by mid-June you could do that, I would assume by the Odin tournament or whatever you could get to 3000. So, and yeah, but yeah.
Okay. So he said, and they said they proposed that we shift the top 60 strong players to Bifrost and leave the rest behind, friend or not. We asked questions and tried to work out compromises on behalf of our fellow guildies who were trying their best but could not meet these standards. However, they just wanted things their way. We have tried to work with them, but they closed the door on any compromise other than doing things their way. Since then, they have decided on a new plan which involves poaching our members. We are instead working out a better plan with Legacy that involves both guilds.
Oh,
So,
yeah. So
so from this right here, this gives me the impression that they're trying to pin everything on you guys. I'm guessing, yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, and they're trying to pin all the fault with the community. And we ask that you please be cautious of the lies and half truths being posted, manipulatively cropped screenshots are being used to discredit Nova and our members. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to a lead and ask in general chat for clarification. Okay, so my first thing here is like if you're ever talking about cropped screenshots, I would 100% post the full context of the screenshot. This happened to me before in Real Global as well, where like somebody was trying to accuse me of something and they posted like cropped screenshots, and I posted the whole thing and it just exposed the whole lie, right? So that's usually what you
Yeah.
want to do if you really if that is true, you have that proof, which you should if you're making that claim, you should be posting the full context of those screenshots then, right? So, and here's let's break this down. Please allow us to explain. Okay. The argument started with disagreement on good composition, PvP production needed for Odin's Cup. Okay, so now there's a counter to this statement that was read earlier. 100% lie. Okay, wow. 100%. Rolo makes PvP reduction guides for free-to-play members for Nova, Holiness, Legacy, etc. The group collectively agreed that 3k PvP damage reduction should be a requirement for people who want to play in map 1 of Odin's Cup. So it's not the minimum requirement for everybody, is for map 1, which makes sense because that's where majority of the impact is being put. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, okay. But this requirement to make it mandatory for everyone was by even in Nova.
Yeah.
Wait,
So there was a call. So this is
who's even?
Evan. Evan is one of the leads.
Evan.
He's a guy from Pouring. So Evan was the guy I
Ah,
mentioned who has the group that somebody in there is leaking stuff. And we don't know 100% who, but somebody in there is definitely leaking stuff. We all think we know who it
wait.
is.
So
Um,
let me get this straight. They are accusing you of making PvP damage reduction to 3k, and then it turns out it was one of their leads that said it.
100%. Yeah, this
Jesus
is what I'm saying.
Christ.
This one thing that he did, man. This one post that Helios did was the biggest blunder, because he could have been more honest here and actually transparent about what was going on. And he tried to pin, like, almost projecting like a lot of the things he's saying we did was actually either something we all agreed to or something that came from their side. So that 3k, it was originally 2.5k. That was like the original whatever 2.5k gets the entry. It was one of their leads, Evan, that suggested
Christ.
3 was a better number on the call. And that's where you see Suzuku saying Evan said 3k on the call. This was another reason why I left Nova. They were telling me I needed to do all this stuff to support the guild, and then what did they do? They singled me out and didn't have me on that call. So what did my side do? They patched me in. They patched me in, and I couldn't say anything, but I listened to the call. And yeah, sure enough, it was their side that everyone agreed on 3K though. So like to pin it on us, saying like the Bifrost people are working the free to plays like slaves, wasn't like that at all. Like we all agreed on 3K, and it was suggested by their side.
This
So
is why I record every meeting.
We should have, man. And
Because
that's
of
what
shit
Rolo
like
keeps
this.
saying. If we had that recording,
Yeah,
gosh,
every single meeting, every single like VOD before, I always had it recorded, and that's why when everybody asked me for proof, I would always have something to pull up. So this is what's the timeline of the game on LNA? I have no idea. I just know about this drama. I haven't
we're
paid attention to Rue in a while.
we're 3 months in. We're three
We're
months
three
in.
months
Yeah,
in. Okay,
about
yeah,
100 days, 101 days or something.
yeah. So okay. Oh, here, Rolo actually, guys that did the math. How the fuck does even or Evan and them expect to get 3K pay fee damage reduction for free to play by Odins? This is pushing it to the max for people who started building the stat on day one. So Rolo has a guide on this on where you can get the sources of PvP damage reduction for or PvP stats for, and
Hmm.
he even has the total at 2.4K.
Exactly.
So it wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense that this accusation that they pinned on them of them wanting to set the PvP damage reduction to 3K be truthful. It's a complete and utter lie, and it just got proven in like these two screenshots. Like this one right here is
Yeah.
like
Yeah. 20. Yeah, like between 24 and 20, it was like 2470 or something. Between 24 and 25 was the original, and then it was upgraded by then. But that's what Rolo's whole guild guide is built around, is that 2400 number. So
Jesus.
yeah,
Okay, so that
yeah,
that point number one proven as a lie already. Wow, that's crazy. We're off to a good start here. Number two, they propose that we shift the top 60 strong players to Bifrost and leave the rest behind, friend or not. We asked questions and tried to work on compromises. Well, here's the thing about this, like friend or not, right? Like, what is the point of adding this statement in this sentence, even, right? It's like
it's a spin,
it's
man.
just
It's
yeah,
a spin.
that's the thing. It's like it doesn't like there's no point in these three words to even be in this
Making it
sentence
emotional.
because
Yeah,
yeah, it's like it's a personal thing. It's like the top 60 strong because you're being competitive and you want to win. When you want to
yeah.
win, you set aside personal feelings to
Wait,
get the
wait till you
best
get to the
result.
rebuttal, though.
Okay.
Wait
And
till you get to Rolo's rebuttal on that one.
the proposal to take the top 70 players from Nova and leave the rest behind was proposed by Healy. Okay, Jesus Christ.
I was in that chat, man, and we had the whole
Jesus
history. We
fucking Christ.
blocked him from being able to see it, but Roland and I have all the receipts in that channel. We formed a separate strategy channel called Diplomacy in Bifrost. Actually, we invited Helios over. There's a number of us in there, and Helios came back and said, like, yeah, 70 is cool. And I've talked with this with the leads apparently too in Nova, and they all agreed on the 70 number. So now to spin this thing about, oh, they're telling us we have to do this, it's like, no, like you co-signed that and you had already brought it up to the leadership and everybody was cool with it. So like, why are you pinning this
Jesus
on us now?
Christ.
Like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. See, this is why you always keep receipts, bro. You always keep receipts because, like, anybody can just talk some bullshit and pin everything that they said on you. But if you have proof like this, uh, yeah, okay, there you go. Okay, there seems to be a bit of a misunderstanding between both sides. I don't think everybody discussed during the meeting that we had the other day was properly communicated to Bifrost because, from my understanding, Nova was willing to do pretty much everything. Oh, we suggested by Rolo originally, but things seem to have drastically changed since then. And for what reason exactly? And then Rolo sends him a screenshot of him saying exactly that. Like I mentioned 70 and they were down with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Like what do you
Yeah.
like at this point, honestly, if I was in his in Helio's shoes right now, at this point I would have been just like, oh wait, I did say that, didn't I? My bad. Let's see if he actually
Yeah.
did
No,
that.
yeah.
Um okay, there you go. My proposal should not have blindsided Nova at all. You gave me the 70 number. Suzaku gave me the Bifrost shell info. Literally the competent Nova leads fed me this stuff. So don't turn this on me. Which is it was very fair and correct and factual because it was turned to Rolo, but then Rolo provided actual proof. Rolo technically should not have had the burden of proof because he was the one accused. He actually had to present the proof as the defendant, whereas like the person or the side
Yeah.
that should have had the burden of proof should have had like the proof to
Yeah.
prove their
It's a
statements.
blind accusation.
Yeah, so it's just a
Yeah.
blind
It's a blind
accusation.
accusation. Yeah.
And the worst part is like they were the actual ones that did it. And he's well, it did blindside them. Like, but how? How did it blindside them? I'm just going on with the info you plus Suzaku gave me. I'm just stating what happened. And Rolo, obviously, like, I know this meme, the Lilo Stitch meme. You gave me the number, you fuck, then pinned it on me, which
Yep.
is exactly what the screenshot up here mentions.
Yep.
I mentioned 70, and they were down with that.
Yep.
And then he tried to pin
Exactly.
it on Rolo, and then Rolo was like, "You gave me the number." And I'm like, "Why are you
Yep.
pinning it on me?" I did give 70,
Yep.
but not the other stuff. But the 70 is the part of the whole thing. That was a whole statement up here.
I'm gonna send you something, a snapshot right now in Discord too. This
Okay,
is
okay.
something that didn't. Okay. What do you want?
The only other thing
Blah blah blah.
was using Bifrost as a shell, which I was told that it was talked about on the call, and there was no negative feedback on that. So this is also the craziest thing, by the way. The fact that like now this tells me that Rolo was not even at a call, and things that were said on that call are being pinned on him is crazy to me.
He was out to dinner, but yes, I sent you a screenshot in Discord, man. There's more to this too because it's this is actually just like a funny little whatever. But I asked like, is there any reason to keep that diplomacy channel? Should we clean it up for the Bifrost people? And I was waiting on a response, and he's like, just make it so Helios can't see the history, so he can't go through the history. I was like, oh, is there any reason to not remove it? And he's like, for when he says dumb shit, like in the future. He's like when did we say 70?
Oh
And
no.
that's exactly, dude, he's like a fortune. Like, honestly, he
Jesus
read the future.
Christ.
He read the future, and check the date on that, man. He read the future on that. And I ended up coming back and was like, yo, this paid in dividends super fast because then he made that post like a day
06
or two later or
03
something. So yeah.
2024, and the post was made, hold on, 0530. Jeez.
Just
06
2 days
01.
later, dude. Just 2
Jesus
days later.
Christ. Oh my
Scary,
god,
man.
bro. Oh
Super
my
scary.
god.
Rolo said one thing, and I knew this from obviously from my engagements with Panda. I mean, they fucking cooked me. But Rolo, when this all started to hit the fan, he just told us like, there's people in this world you can fuck with. I'm not one of them, and that was it. And like we read that, and we were like, okay, never get on Rolo's bad side because he will defend himself, as much as he needs to get his point across. And it's all legit. Like he knows exactly how to present the stuff. He knows exactly everything that went down. And yeah,
You
cannot
always,
fuck with Rolo.
always keep receipts. Always keep receipts. And this is what happens when you keep receipts. People just yapping about shit that they did and blaming it on you, but you have the proof to show that it's all bullshit. It's the same shit that I
Yep.
defended myself with LNA, and that's why I kept receipts then, and that's why I keep receipts now. It's exactly because of bullshit like this.
Got to. You got to. Yeah.
From the same
Absolutely.
people that I had to deal with, and then the only other thing was using Bifrost as a shell. Except Sorvo ruined it. Remember that? Who's Sorvo? Why is he getting blamed now?
Sorv Bolofo, he's the head of the merged Brazilian guild. He's a great guy. We love playing with him.
Mhm.
Um, it's like night and day from the Nova leadership. He's the guy that's basically hosting us in Legacy right now, though.
Okay.
I don't know why they were blaming him for ruining anything because Sorv has been completely like neutral and willing to work through this is why we ended up siding with Legacy and why I told Sarah we put the proposal to both sides.
Mhm.
The Brazilians agreed, and the Brazilians at that point had just merged. They might have been stronger than Nova at the time. We didn't know. So it's like the fact that you guys shot it down and they were willing to agree just kind of speaks volumes. And like this is why like we're getting closer with them because they're being more reasonable about this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
His and Nova leadership wanted to pick their top 70 players from Nova and were willingly going to drop the rest of their guild members, yet they had the audacity to lie to their guild and pin it on Bifrost, which is exactly the proof that we just saw. They also blame Legacy, Sorvo, for why the proposal failed. Rolo reviewed the Nova stats and said that Nova only deserved 60. However, he said that the last 30 slots should go to the best from both guilds, so that could potentially get Nova more than 70 slots that Helios wanted.
It would
Which
have.
is very
Yeah, it
which
would
is
have.
very fair because again,
It would have.
you want the best chances to win, you put the best stat players, the players that worked on their stats in that guild that's going to be in the competition. That's fair. I don't think anybody can argue that that is not fair, right? So, and especially when it looks like it would be in Nova's advantage anyway. That's crazy. Helios
it
eventually.
netted out to be way more because he said they deserve 60, so 60 from each side, and then
Mhm.
30 based on stack rank. The thing that might not be clear, might be or might not be clear in there was like 10 of us, like a bunch of us in Bifrost and stuff. There were like 10 of us out of the guild that weren't being counted in the Nova 60. But like we were technically Nova. Like he just wasn't, that wasn't part of the count though.
Mhm.
So he was saying 60 from Nova that are currently in guild. That wasn't counting the travelers. So like all of us in Bifrost that were whales, like we were like part of that stack of 30 rank or whatever.
Jesus.
So
Okay.
Nova was actually going to end up with a lot
With
more,
more than
something like
60.
72.
Yeah.
It was going to be over 70 or something,
Jesus.
you know?
And they complain
So
still?
yeah,
Fucking.
yep,
That's crazy.
yep.
That's crazy. And they said Helios eventually caved and said all he cared about was that his two e-girls came with him.
Dude, and no, I think he didn't want to put all the screenshots that led up to that, but it was originally five. Like Helios was like, give me five, and I've got the screenshots for that. Give me just five. And Rolo was like, no. And he's like, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We went back and forth a little bit. He goes, actually, I only need two. Just give me two slots. And Rolo was like, no. And I was, and he was like, it's got to go based on stack rate. Eventually, it just kind of fits out. And I think we're like, fine, it's just two people, whatever. But originally, he wanted five. And it's like, you know, I think one of them's a guy, but like the rest of them's kind of like a harem of girls or whatever. So we were like, they're nowhere near. They're like 1.5k PvP reduction. Like they're nowhere near the minimum.
Jesus
So
Christ.
yeah,
Holy shit. So
yeah,
basically
dude,
fodder.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah. And
no.
Helios, he said something. I think he said like verbatim. I just want to bring the people that drag me around for stuff, like MVPs and whatnot. Like I want to bring the people that drag me around for stuff. And it's like, imagine somebody having that much say, that much power. Like, why should you be able to do that? Like, we have other people that drag us around and help us with stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's not fair. Like, it should be based on stats.
Which is the fairest metric that you could go off of.
Yeah,
Not.
yeah.
Jeez. It's like barring anything else, bro. This is probably one of the most consistent Helios things that I've. It's always
Oh
gonna
my
be some.
gosh.
It's always gonna be a girl, bro. He
Oh my
prioritized his
gosh.
e-girls over more than 40 people in Nova who had better
Yeah.
stats than them. His account had a 36k Nyan rebate for 90 days, and he could not skip coffee for one day for a weekly pass for his e-girls.
Damn, man. Yeah.
Froja,
I don't.
okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so Froja is within top Nova's top 60, and he's saying it's not Froja, it's the others. So the other e-girls is what he's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like what had happened, I don't know if it's on the screen, but Rolo put up an image. He's like, basically, this is what you're fighting for, and it was like Nova's bottom tier. And
Jesus
Helios is
Christ.
like, I don't. Helios was like, I don't even see them on there. And then we're okay. So like, that's how bad it was. You know what I mean? Like in that bottom tier where Rolo assumed he was talking about somebody there, they weren't even on that. Like they were below that. So we were like, damn, like you really got to catch these people up because it's not fair to just bring dead weight into this over personal preference, So
Yeah. It's like everybody in the server is trying to collectively join in on this so you could get the W, you could get the dub, you could get all the rewards. And it's not even guaranteed that you're going to get the rewards
there's
because,
the
like.
and the thing is that's left out of this too. And maybe this is like bad to say this, but the original proposal from Helios, we had like a kind of an agreement in there or willingness to go back to Nova to beat the Brazilian merge. Like when I say we, like me, Iceheart, Suzaku, Biku, like we were gonna go back to Nova to beat them just so that Nova would have like be able to retain their bargaining chips and like be able to retain kind of their voice through the
Mhm.
merge and still have a little bit more of a dominant voice, which to me was like, I guess that's kind of fair because yeah, the Brazilian guilds haven't beat us in a very long time. Haven't beat Nova when I say us. They haven't beat Nova
Mhm.
in a very long time. And I guess it makes sense. Like Nova will probably have a few more people in the merge guild because of stack ranking, and they'll probably have a little bit more of a voice as well because they are the most dominant guild of the
Yeah, but
server.
they're already
So
getting
we agreed to
70
that.
plus.
We agreed to that,
Yeah.
but that was the original proposal. I was like, listen, if you can get the Nova leads to agree to the merge, I'll go back today and we'll beat the merge down, the merged Brazilian guild down, and then we'll just continue with the proposal, and they still shot it down. So like you got to understand from where I'm sitting, like Nova had a great opportunity to get more than like a 50-50 say in the proposal, more than a 50-50 say in players and more than a 50-50 say just in power and in having a voice at the table. You know what I mean? Like really whatever they would have said, they would have been in control. They shot all that down and now like they're in a position where like they're losing, we're stronger than them, and they're bleeding players. And now it's like now you have basically no voice. Like whoever is going to end up coming with us from Nova, it's going to be purely based on stats. And we're already telling the Brazilian leadership if the stats are close, like the last few people are 3K versus 3K,
Mm-hmm.
give preference to the Legacy player over the Nova player. And because that's fair now, because
Mm-hmm.
now it's looking like Legacy is going to be the host.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we could have done this on neutral ground, and now Nova's kind of lost everything.
Yeah, ego got
They've
in the
lost their
way.
voice at the table. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
ego and e-girls got in the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Ego
asking for.
e-girls and TikTok
Oh,
followers, man. Some of these girls just dance their way to the Odin Cup, apparently.
I'm asking for 2 slots. I 95. Give me names. Gonna have two. And they would probably be on the top 60. I'm looking at Nova's list now. Two names: Zaya and Ishelny.
Usually, maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they're like Jesus Christ, 966. Helios was willing to drop
Yeah, dude.
anyone in Nova between 966 to 2100 PvP damage reductions just so he could secure 2 slots for his e-girls that sat at 966 PvP points.
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
god! Like, be honest with you, if you had 966 and everybody else was at like in the 2Ks or like a higher 1K, like 1.8, 1.9 to 2K to like around 3K, you might as well not have PvP points. You're probably gonna get insta gibbed anyway.
Yeah. So look at how bad this is with Helios's accusation. Now it like really comes back to bite him because he added that emotional line,
Jesus.
friends or not. And then it's like, well, dude, now look at the reality of what actually happened though. You were gonna cut two people probably from Nova to bring in your friends. Two people that worked to get their stat to where it needed to be, probably like free to play, probably busted their ass, did all this stuff, and you were gonna just bring in these other two people who were unqualified.
Bro,
So
fucking
it's like,
not the
it's really
nepotism, bro.
damning. Like it's really damning.
Not the nepotism, bro. Oh no. um is that they wanted things their way. We have tried to work with them, but they closed the door on any compromise other than doing things their way. Since then, they have decided on a new yada yada, and both parties have had conversations for days that have gone nowhere. Nova leadership would rather talk about how they feel than just shut everyone out, saying passive aggressive statements and giving selfish responses, which this bites you back here. Y'all won't win Odin Cup and Nova either. Hope Boba wins. I'll be honest with you, bro. I got love for Sarah, but that's petty.
It's not
That's
right,
petty.
man.
Yeah, I gotta call
It's
it. I gotta call it out how I see it, bro. I gotta be a straight shooter. That's fucking petty. That's petty and childish. Um,
Yeah. And
hey,
and I was honestly in the same boat coming back where like the rest of the Nova leadership, me and Biku had a falling out with them. The one person, and I really clutched too, but the one person that I felt coming out of everything that happened in Fusion, like no animosity towards, was Sarah. Like Sarah was the one that was like, Sarah helped us more than some of the other more prominent leads did in Fusion. She did a lot of community work. Like she did just whatever she could. She was always super supportive. I
mm,
had no issues with Sarah. And even Clutch, like I had disagreements with Clutch, but I always respected Clutch as a leader, and he's just a good dude. If you know Clutch, he's just a good dude. Like he's just a nice guy. You know what I mean? And we all make mistakes.
yeah,
So
we didn't
and I
have
made
this.
mistakes. I've definitely made mistakes. So yeah, like Sarah was the one though that I was like, Sarah, since you're leading the guild, I'll come back and play with you guys because I like you and I respect you. And then when all this fell through, the one time after all this had started to kind of fall apart that I reached out to her, she's just basically like, Raph, don't talk to me. You're pure drama. And I was like, how am I pure drama? Like, I left you guys a note. I've told you for weeks I've had concerns. Like, I've cited those concerns. I got dogpiled. Like, then we had a small conversation, and that's where she said the same thing to me at the end of the conversation. Guess Boba's gonna win. And I was like, okay, well, fuck this. Like, this is like
Jesus.
not worth. This isn't worth it.
This is the
So
you can't call people like just pure drama and then drop a statement like that. That's just not,
yeah, no,
what the
seriously,
fuck.
seriously, what
That's
the
just not
hell,
how it
man?
goes, bro.
Yeah.
Oh
And
man.
it's not like Sarah's not hasn't been involved in a lot of drama too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you
So it's
can't
like
just
I don't
yeah,
know.
you can't just
It's
look at somebody, call them a murderer, turn back and shoot the next person you see. That's just not how
yeah.
it works.
Yep. Yep.
Because
Yep.
I have my own solution, but you didn't even want to try it. And Rolo said, "Because your solutions are what is best for you. I'm the only one who's trying to make everyone happy and not cry." Which seeing the first like set of um metrics that they posted, it was very very fair. And from the looks of it, it was what was best for everybody. And yeah, I mean, you didn't even want to try it. Like, I would want to bring like two useless e-girls either. I was like, bro, I'm not like, what am I gonna do? What is that gonna, what is that gonna tell people? I was like, bro, okay. So I worked on getting my stats here. Like, let's say like I'm free to play, right? And I got to like 2K stats or whatever. And then if I was that person and I was free to play, and then somebody at like I was at 2K and somebody at like 900 got in before me solely because they were an e-girl or they knew anybody
Yeah.
in leadership, I would have been like, well, what the fuck am I even building my stats for?
I want to be clear too. Like that whole spiel is not even what he was talking about. Because like eventually Rolo was like, whatever, just get them up to speed. Like we had even compromised on the two e-girl thing or whatever. What he's saying is you didn't even want to try it. I don't even know what Helios was talking about at that point because this was after Nova had completely rejected the proposal. So like they threw out the whole proposal. It wasn't like we didn't want to work with him over two e-girls. It wasn't like that at all. It was Nova looked at it, and that's what prompted the response from them saying, like, I'll never go to Bifrost. So, like, that was their response to the proposal. So, like, they were, it's just funny because he said they closed the door on us. The Nova leads were not willing to do this at all. And this is why every response I've sent back to anyone in Nova side, anyone in leadership, has been just review and accept Rolo's proposal. That's how we move forward in this. Review and accept Rolo's proposal. They shot that thing down before it even got off the floor, and
Yeah.
I don't know what Helios is talking about. You didn't want to work with us because the only thing I think they were suggesting was just all of you need to come back to Nova and we just need to beat Legacy and then we need to host this. And like that's not what we agreed upon at all. That completely throws Rolo's proposal out the window.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
this one's crazy, by the way. Like I'm just reading this right now. Accept my proposal that will make Bifrost happy and that force nobody to say yes. Basically, the proposal that like we read in the beginning, I think that should make everybody happy. And the craziest response I'm seeing here is very very selfish. How will that make me happy? If you're part of
yeah,
leadership and your
yeah,
guild is getting you're not just like already getting a fair treatment, but like the fact that you had 70 plus more versus the 60 already you getting preferential treatment. So
yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
you
I think
had the upper hand in the situation at this point in time before you got beat, before people start leaving your guild, the part that says make me happy should have been yes,
should have
that
been
should
satisfied.
yeah, that
Yeah.
should make you happy because the you as a leader, the people that you represent are getting the better end of the deal. So why wouldn't that make you happy? Oh, because like
I
the
don't
two e-girls can't
understand.
fucking join, the useless fucking e-girls can't join. Oh my god, that's
I don't understand what happened with Helios because in that call that they mentioned, like going way back, the call where Evan mentioned the 3K and all that, Helios came on that call like saying, like, I think it's a good idea that we go to Bifrost because we had already been having talks about this and do the merge guild. And there's a proposal that we'll put together and all this and that. This was actually before the proposal. It's like the day before the proposal. That was the same night I left the guild, was after that call. But on that call, like Helios and Suzaka were both like, yeah, we should give this a go. We should like measure out how this is going to look. The Brazilians have already agreed to use a shell guild so that everybody's happy. And Helios just did like a 180. Like as soon as Nova pushed back and said no, we don't want it, he completely and firmly like went over on that side and then started to kind of play hardball with us.
that's
And we're
crazy.
like, well, what the fuck, man? Like we thought we were all on the same page with this. You know what I mean? If anything, and when he says it, it's funny. He says, I'm not sure when things change or now things have changed. Dude, you changed. We've been in the same position the exact same time. And you jumped over and started acquiescing whatever they were asking for. And Helios even said, he's like, I just don't want them to resent me. Like, I don't want to push, I don't want them to resent me or whatever. And it's like, well, dude, look what you did. Like, yeah, maybe they don't resent you, but now we do. And like, he's like, I don't want my friends to resent me. It's like, well, now we
Resent
have
you for
resentment
what?
towards you. So
We're not giving
Yeah,
them
exactly.
preferential treatment. Get the fuck out of here. This is a
And
competitive.
Helios was
This is
carrying them.
this is
And Rolo even told him it. He was like, dude, you know how easy it would be for you to go to the Nova leadership and be like, guys, this is what we're doing. I'm like 90% of the guild's power right now. Like, this is the best way. It's like, just go and do it, dude. He's like, I don't want to do that. Then they're gonna resent me. And it's like, I I don't know what to tell you, man.
they're
I
gonna
don't know what to
resent you
tell you.
because
It's
you
like
agreed on something fair. That's crazy.
fair.
That's
Exactly,
crazy.
dude. Exactly.
That's
It wasn't
fucking
it wasn't a,
crazy.
wasn't an unfair proposal, you know, like
Oh god, they're
oh
gonna get
my
mad at me.
gosh.
Like, first of all, what right do they have to get mad at you if you're carrying them?
Exactly. Point one. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're
exactly.
carrying number one, you're carrying them, right? It's like them wanting to be part of the main guild that's going into the Odin's Cup to siphon resources, fully knowing that even as free to play, they could have gotten like twice the amount of stats that they had at this point in time
Yep.
as like a free to play player. And despite the fact that they're also getting carried through content already, which mean it should
Yep.
mean like that this process should be a lot easier for them. But the fact that like they have slacked so much and they're actually still getting mad that they're not getting carried any further. Like, you're getting carried by Helios, now you want the whole fucking server to carry you too?
Yeah, you
Like,
want the
what? Where is this
whole thing.
shame? Where is this shamelessness coming from?
Exactly. And that's what we were asking the whole time. And a lot of people in Nova came in with very nice rebates, like super good rebates, and blew that shit, man. They blew that shit in 6 weeks doing Baphomet booty, gambling, getting costumes and stuff. I hate to call out names, but if you go and look up Alinus right now, I know Alinus came in with a good rebate. I'm sure he spent a little bit. That guy, the last time we saw his PvP points were so low, but he's in like the top 4 for costume ranking. And it's like, bro, like, don't spend money. And then he did that in NA too. It's like, don't spend money on costumes when we're all banging everybody over the head. This is a different meta. Like, you need statues, you need feathers. This is what you got to do. And a lot of people in Nova just blew their rebates. And we're like, guys, like, we warned them for months about this. Like, you're gonna create an environment that makes this much harder for us than it needed to be. And that's where we're
Yeah.
at now. So
And here's to give just for the chat, like here's to give this perspective, right? It's like a lot of people waste a lot of money on dumb shit, like like like, gosh, sure, if you like a costume, go grab it, right? Like, but for you to spend majority of your spending on costume and you call yourself competitive, it's just not it. Here's just to give you like context, right? If you in the fights that we had, I had a in global, I had a very huge emphasis on building PvP stats because we decided like, hey, if we want to be competitive, if we like, we don't have any krakens in this guild. If we want to be competitive, if we want to punch above our weight class, we need to be very strict about building our PvP stats. And we were very strict about building our PvP stats. And when you look at like certain like krakens, even like people that were known in global, like let's say like when we fought like Solaria, like even they were saying like, bro, like the yellow titles that they had are a lot more tankier than like the red titles that we fought with, right? And that was
sheesh.
because we were building PvP stats, and that made it really hard for people that were supposed to be quote unquote stronger because they had way higher CP, they had way better titles than us, but because they didn't min max the PvP stats the way that we did, that allowed us to punch like above our weight class. And that's how crucial and that's how important these PvP stats are. If you're not paying attention to if you haven't played Rue before, that's how crazy good these PvP stats are. And if you are competitive, you focus on these stats because you want to win. And obviously, from what I'm seeing here right now, I can't in good conscience call Nova a competitive guild because they're not having competitive moves. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're competitive, you want to win, period. You take whatever resource you have, whatever resource is available to you that will maximize your chances of winning, regardless of what you have, how little or how much you have, and you use that to win. But the fact that, like, hey, I know that everybody's trying to do this, but can I bring my two fucking e-girls with like useless PvP stats? I might as well get like insta bang by like a fucking finger offensive or something like that. Like, it's just
Oh
not
my
fair.
god.
You know what I mean? It's just not fair.
Oh my god. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And the PvP stats in here are so crucial because like I said, this, just to give context, this is LNA. They're only 3 months into the game. Yeah, like there's like global meta shifted so much. Yeah, it's global. This is LNA though. PvPS is no longer as important. It's still important though. PDEF, MDEF, P damage reduction, M damage reduction as equally, if not more important than raw PvP stats. Yeah, but here's the thing: you can have both. Imagine having both.
Yeah, you can do it all right now. And like you said, early in the game, like the PvP stats are so important though. Like later on, yeah, it just gets drowned out in other stuff. But at the place we're in right now, like PvP stats are pretty much everything, you know. So
Yeah, like I mean, if you look at somebody, if you look at somebody that's like building that has 900 PvP damage reduction, and you put him up against like somebody who's at like 3K or like 2.4K or whatever that somebody was trying to build, like they're not like what are they gonna do? Like take 30 days, like 30 business days to fucking kill this guy? Like they can't, right? And he says like here, the Nova compromise was that you guys don't interfere with Nova versus Legacy fight on Saturday. Whoever wins merges the other guild. If you guys join Legacy, they already said there's no merge. But that's pretty like disingenuous though, because oh yeah, here Nova has 2.5 times the spend of Legacy from the get go.
this was the Band-Aid solution, man.
Yeah,
This
so
was we were
yeah, so this
go
to
ahead.
me, this to me is like I was like, okay, it's like we're gonna have a bet, okay? You're not gonna interfere. It's going to be me, an adult, and this little kid over here. If I beat the shit out of this kid, I win. You don't get to, but you can't interfere. It's just me and him. That's basically what he's saying here. Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like you,
this was the Band-Aid. And you saw when Helios said we're working out a separate agreement with Legacy, they kind of held a gun to their head and was like, listen, we've got an upcoming PvP match. If we win, you join us. If you win, we join you. And we were telling, I mean, because Sorv, the Brazilian leader, was telling us like kind of what was going on the side, and we're like, yo, don't agree to that at all. That's doesn't make any sense. Like, why would we let one match decide the outcome here when there's still like six
so
weeks until
dumb.
the tournament? You know what I mean? So what did we end up doing? We ended up going and joining Legacy, and then we beat Nova. And you know, it's like Helios, like, why are you still trying to strong arm, dude? You should be backing off because you've been caught in lies. Rolo's got all the screenshots. He's got more too, in case you bring up any more BS. And let's just come to the table and say, hey, some people had hurt feelings and things got out of hand. Let's just go with the original proposal and talk about how we can make this work.
Yeah,
They never did that,
this is
you
just
know.
fucking
So
crazy to me because it's like hey there's this fight that there's just no way that I will ever lose because you know mathematically it's just impossible for me to lose, but like I want you to also be dragged into the results of this in a bet, and you have to do what we say if we win in a fight that's basically cooked.
bro, I'm sending you screen cap now of our stack rank for the top 7. Like, it's dominated by Nova. There's 2 of us from Legacy in there. Look at the emblems, dude. Like, it's all red emblems in Nova. And then if you look at the results of the match, like there's only one red emblem on the Legacy side, and that's me. And then there's like 3 or 4 red emblems on the other side. Like, the amount of spend, and that's not even factoring in the rebates that the NA players got as well, is much higher because they didn't equalize they didn't localize like the cost for the Latin American players. So like they have to pay the USD equivalents, and that's like obviously fucking them because the US dollar is like 5 times the Brazilian currency or whatever. Don't quote me on that, but
Jesus.
it's really expensive for them. And like a lot of these guys
Yeah,
are like, you fucked us from the beginning.
I
Like,
mean,
not only did the NA people get rebates,
yeah,
but we have to pay 5 times as much as them to get the same shit. Yeah, so it's just a completely unfair like proposition, you know.
yeah. It's basically it's here's what I think. It's like seeing the rebate thing that they had, the rebate thing that they had, right? It's basically like a bunch of kids coming in with their inheritances, with their, with their trust funds,
Bunch of trust fund kids, man. Yeah,
from like with against like a bunch of kids that had to start with nothing, and they're saying like, hey, if you have more money than me, you win. Like, what the fuck is
pretty
that
much,
about, man? Like, what the...
pretty much.
Anyway, let's see here. We are instead working out a better plan with Legacy that involves both guilds. What's the better plan? There's no
That's what
there's
I
no
just. That's
better
that's what
plan.
that was the better plan. If we beat you, you come to us. That was the better plan. So
There's no
yeah.
better plan than the initial proposal. What the fuck do you mean? Legacy is made up of two guilds. Pombo's working with them. I wasn't aware of that. Wait, who's Bluey? Is that a
So
Legacy
so
lead?
Pombos, that was the Pombos lead. So Pombos and
Hmm.
Liquid merged. There was the two big. We used to be like a thriving server with like a ton of different guilds, and a lot of the Brazilian guilds had to merge in to consolidate power because Nova just overpowered them so badly. So Bluey was the legacy, Pombos lead along with Iced Earth,
Hmm.
and then Sorf Bolofo is the Sorf Buffalo as we call him. He was the Liquid lead.
Jesus.
And then Linker's another lead from Liquid, I think, as well.
Oh yeah, I
Or
used
maybe
to play with I played with Linkers before. Working with them, I wasn't aware of that at all. All I know is that they formed a group with Sorb to suggest their idea of how the Odin Cup should be done, but at no point we were told that we agreed with their idea. Jesus Christ. And I
Yep,
think they were worried about Roll's exposure and members leaving and are trying to ease things by suggesting that we are working together.
100%.
Oh my god,
100%.
bro. Fucking slap that. Just slap a seal on that thing. It's like, yeah, Roll, I don't know. I know we don't interact much. Do you see Helios trying to drag us, Legacy, into all this BS tantrum they be throwing? Dude goes on to lie to their members that they're working with us on a plan, which is BS, and then proceeds to tell people to not believe lies and rumors, which is the same thing he just spread.
He just.
See, even people from like, I know Linker. He's from Brazil, right? So I know people from Brazil are like, bro, what the fuck is this bullshit, bro?
Yeah.
And Liquid says, yeah, IDK, I say, fuck this merge. We get together, build the best team we can based on stats, and try to claw some members there. I don't think we're going to get anywhere with Nova, to be honest. And from this part alone, we're not even at part 3 yet. Part 1 and part 2, I think it's very clear already that you guys are not going to get anywhere with them. Right? At this point, you're
Yeah.
just wasting time, you're just wasting energy, and you're just frustrating yourselves over something that's never going to happen because they're just not mature enough. And they're just
Yep.
not fair enough, right?
And it was at this point that Rebel was like, don't like really interact with them. To his waste that. He's like, let's just continue on, and we'll work with the legacy stuff.
Mhm. Okay. And now I'm looking at part 3. Part 3 now. So let's
Oh
see here.
boy.
Hi everyone. We want to address some allegations being made and used to poach people from Nova. Who's Xdal again? Is that
That's Nose Job.
that's Nova? Okay, that's Nova. And he's from Nova or
Yeah, he's
okay,
one of the leads.
from
And
Nova.
yeah.
Okay. So hi everyone. We want to address some allegations being made and used to poach people from Nova. Number one, Helios wanted to make a guild with whales from the server for the Odin Cup. What about the e-girls? Left that out. Untrue. Rolo made the proposal with a top 60 Nova, confirmed by himself in his own document, except that we did see from the proof from the prior documents that they were actually going to get more than 70 in total,
Yeah.
and asked Helios to get the okay from Nova. Since we all seem to agree on going ahead with some sort of a merge, Helios made a comment about adjusting numbers to 70 so that less people would need to be shifted, which has now been used to suggest that Helios came up with a proposal, which he did because we have those screenshots. He fucking said it
Yeah.
himself. And we
Yeah.
saw that in that screenshot. And it's just that like less people would need to be shifted. The fuck is that even supposed to mean? People are gonna leave the guild regardless. Like, what do you mean? Like, what has shifting have to do anything about it?
And how do you follow up with an announcement like this when you just made an announcement saying Bifrost is a gun to our head, telling us we got to dump half our guild, friends alike, and then you're just basically now agreeing that you all knew about the 60 and 70 figures as well.
Jesus
You know what I
Christ,
mean?
man.
It's yeah.
Yeah, see, number 2, e-girls. Untrue. Also, Isaiah is a guy. Can be confirmed by many members in Nova who have voiced with him / met him IRL. Helios asked for space to accommodate 2 friends who he plays with on a daily basis. They are not whales, so no, he does not only want to play. He does not only want to play with whales, which it does. Okay, so let's say it's a guy, whatever. The problem is they have very subpar PvP stats.
Yep.
And you're trying to compete in the biggest tournament in the game.
Yeah. It's not an emotional
And why
argument. It's not an emotional conversation.
yeah, and why are you saying he does not only want to play with whales? But that's the thing. If you're trying to win, you want the people with the best stats, you fucking
you
numbnuts.
should play with the highest
Jesus,
stats.
man.
Exactly.
This is actually
And there's
pissing
no
me off,
feeling
bro.
in that. It's just stats, dude. It's just paperwork. Like it's just whatever the paper says, whatever the performance shows, whatever, if they're available to play, that's what it is. That's what gets you in. You know, objective as can be.
Hi, and this one, I think this is Rolo. Yeah, yeah. Hi, everyone. I, Rolo, want to address some allegations being made on the truths that I have sent out about Nova. I would like to note that I am still a neutral party and mediator between the events that have happened between Nova and Bifrost. As the mediator, it is my responsibility to correct misinformation, which he has rightfully done so far. Like
Yep.
everything has been corrected with actual proof. Even though, as the defender, technically, who's being accused, he shouldn't have the burden of proof. It should be the accusers.
Yeah.
But he, as the defendant, actually was the one to provide proof first. So that already it plays to in his favor. To correct misinformation said by either side. If Bifrost says anything incorrect about Nova, I would do the same, but that has not happened yet because so far they have been 100% truthful. Helios wanted to make a guild with whales from the server for the Odin Cup. There was a call after a guild league on June 30th where Nova leadership spoke about their Odin's plans. I was not there. I told Helios that I could not make it. Okay. I'm going to play pickleball with Nobody's in voice. You're telling them that you're leaving, right, to prep for dims? Yes, but also I need you on that call. So he had he had pickleball plans and like dinner plans after that, so he couldn't even be there. So the fact that he was actually getting blamed for shit that was said in that call while he was not in there is crazy to me already. But I was later backfilled by Helios, Raph, Iceheart of the details during the call. During the call, moving to Bifrost was an idea that was pushed by Suzaku and supported by Helios. Okay, and he posted the chat logs on here as well. During the talk that will hit minimum, I mentioned 70, and they were down with that. Helios gave me the number to put into proposal. I decreased the number from 70 to 60 for Nova because I did not want to include the Bifrost members and myself into the Nova count. Nova included us in their 70. Okay, so technically, even though the number was down to 60, Nova would end up having around 70 members still. Right, as they just were not officially in the guild because, like I said, like for your example, Raf, you were also doing like going into Bifrost just
We're
because you
travelers.
wanted to, yeah, you wanted to bid where there is no competition to bid because it's the same shit. So to put into context for people that may or may not understand yet, so Raph was basically in Nova, the guild, and he was trying to bid on guild auction stuff, but he was getting trolled, and members were outbidding him, which like number one would make him lose that bid or that item, which is very heavily time gated. So that will set him behind. And even if he does get it, he is now paying more than he
You gotta
has
pay
to.
more.
Yeah. But if he
Yeah, you
goes
gotta
to
pay more.
another guild that doesn't bid on auctions, which also would get the same stuff that he would be bidding on Nova, he actually gets to number one, not fall behind because he's getting the items that he needs that he wants, which are time gated. And number two, he's paying minimum price and he doesn't have to pay more than he has, and he's min-maxing his progression. That is why
Yep.
he moved to the other guild, which makes complete sense. It is not anything personal, it is purely financial. That's it, right? And the Nova count included in the 70. I said, I'd rather play more with Nova people than Brazilians, though. They've merged the whole... Wait, what? That's kind of racist. Is that racist? That's kind of racist, no? What's wrong with Brazilians? Oh, dude, you're counting Iceheart and Co. as legacy count. Nova definitely should not take 70 on top of that. And then Rolo lays out the names that are people that are in there are not in Nova's count, which you guys are including them right now. I'm only counting the people who are in their guild right now. Okay, so that backs up your statement
That's
from
where he
earlier.
said.
Okay. This is...
That's where he said he wanted 70, and it's like, dude, you're gonna have over 70
Yeah.
because he didn't even count the basically Nova people who were traveling
Yeah.
in that 60 count for Nova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to bid in different guilds for cheaper stuff. Okay, I see. It's in the 121 to 150 batch. That's the point, though. Those are 10 Nova on top of the 60 you've accounted for that are in, so we should all be settled. I mean, and he says, it's like, I mean, you don't have to think about it, bro. It's like fucking 60 plus 10 equals 70. It's not like,
This is why I keep
what?
saying it was going to be way over 70 because you get 70 just by putting in the travelers, and then it was going to be based on stack rank, and Nova had the highest stack rank players in the game, so it's probably going to be could have been like 80 for all we know. Like we didn't have the official count, but it was going to be more for Nova.
Yeah. The only negotiation after this was Helios trying to increase the count with the intent to get Isaiah and Ishleen, in which I'm sure you all saw in part 2. Okay, yeah, we saw that in part 2. Page 6. E-girls. I'm not sure why this why this matters or was addressed. There are people who are making an effort and doing their best to get those 2k PvP reduction stats. In fact, every free-to-play player is pushing their limits to reach 2k PvP damage reduction or higher right now. And you have these people who have min-maxed everything so that they can be competitive. They can have the 2k PvP damage reduction, and you're gonna put somebody who's 900, who's not even half of the PvP damage reduction of these people. That's crazy to me. Like that's too
I agree,
much.
bro.
That's too much, man. This was sent out to every Nova member that was on their potential kick list. Hello, based on your check-in, your PvP reduction is lower than what it needs to be. As Odin is coming up, we need everyone to be ready. Your PvP reduction needs to be at 2k by June 14. If not, we will need to ask you to leave the guild until after Odin. If you need help with your stats, please contact your class leads. And this was sent out to every Nova member that was on their potential kick list. And they want to bring in somebody who's 900?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Bro, like,
Exactly,
make
dude.
have some consistency at least. Jesus Christ. Why is there an exception to two people? That's a good question. Is it because Helios is a whale or part of leadership that this is allowed? If I am not a whale or part of the leadership team, my friends are sitting 900 PvP damage reduction while everybody else is trying to get to like 2k at this point, would they be able to stay as well? Absolutely not, and they shouldn't. Rightfully so.
And Rolo made a good point. Rolo was like, dude, be a fucking leader. Like, get them up in the points. Like, I posted a guide. We've all played the game for years. Like, lead them to a better outcome here. You have the power to do it. You know, you have the knowledge to do it. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, like it's the one thing that we said before in NA, right? It's like it's a problem when all you have is me players. That's it. Like
Yep.
yeah. Also, how come there was an exception for Gion's girlfriend as well? Oh Jesus Christ! There's another one. Fuck. The right action would have been to agree and try to build their characters up, which makes sense. Maybe try leading by example, where you model the behavior you want to see in your team members. It's about integrity of your character, not your role, or in this case, your wallet. Right. So if you're
Yep.
trying to send this announcement to people that they're at risk of getting kicked if their PvP production is not by like 2k by June 14, and you want to, and not only do you have people that are staying because they're your friends or your e-girls or whatever that are not even half of that, and not only that, even worse, you want to bring them into the guild merger that's supposed to be for the 100% most competitive players that you have in order to win the most major
Yep.
tournament in the game. That's just, bro, that's just like, bro, have a bit of shame. Like, that's just too much hypocrisy in my like from what am I seeing. Like, I hope they actually have like something to defend themselves here, because this is just looking pretty ugly right now. um I didn't care that people are acting and behaving immature, but it crosses a line with me when people start shifting blame, and that's exactly what we saw in the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I had my own solution, but you didn't even want to try it. Yeah, we saw this one before. Yeah, how was it best? Yeah, I wasn't. None of this happened. You could have joined the voice call, and none of this would have happened. Like, wait, why would Rolo need to be in the voice call? Like, he had an appointment. He had plans. You record the voice call, or you take notes during the voice call. You give it to him, and it's like he was in the meeting himself.
Yeah. It's like the expectation
Like,
there is
why
if
is
he's
that?
like
Why does that?
if he's like jump.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
why
he's
does
like
that
jump,
blame
Rolo's supposed
shifting?
to be like, how high? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Rolo was out to dinner, man. Like let him live, you know?
yeah. How is it best for me? It's just the solution we talked about before you changed the plan to make Bifrost Shell. But didn't he agree? Like, didn't they agree to that in the
He
previous
did.
chapter?
Yeah, this is what I mean, man. This is why it was so weird. We don't really know what happened with Helios, because not only on that call was Helios advocating for making the Bifrost the shell, that was the agreement and the proposal we came to in the Bifrost Discord later that night. So, like, within a day, though, like, and this is why Rolo was even saying, like, dude, did you even show them the proposal? Like, what's going on over there? And then Helios came back and was like, no, like, they don't want it, basically. And Helios did not double down on it. He just completely shifted to that side and then started to kind of play hardball with us on it. And it's like, I don't understand what's changed. You know, it's still a great proposal. It's still a fair proposal. Feelings got involved. You know, that's where it became like, I don't want them to resent me. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to be hard on the Nova leads.
Autodidact said, "Didn't you play with Helios? Why didn't you get his side of the story? Seems very one-sided." If Helios wants to hop in here right now and speak his piece, and he wants to defend himself, he would be 100% welcome, right? Like it could be right now if he wants to. It could even be on like like another video if he wants to, where he wants to defend himself, like based on the points that have been said in this video so far, that he is 100% welcome to. He's 100% welcome to. But right now, with the evidence that's actually being showed here, like with all the DMs, all the chat history, all the chat logs, it's like the accusations are not exactly baseless. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
like I said at the beginning, like my recollection is not perfect. These are just my opinions, you know what I mean, and my perspective on what happened. But there's been a number of times here where like I've told you what happened even before we got to reading about it in the text. So like I think we've kind of backed up everything we've said here. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Um let's see here. And then the next part is, in fact, the only reason why I started to do this was because Sarah lied to the whole guild about why Bifrost members. Actually, Sarah can come on here too and defend herself if she wants to.
yo, Kenny's here. Bring Kenny on.
Was Kenny part of this or no?
No, not at all.
No, never
No,
mind. He's just here
he's
to
just
cause
here.
trouble, bro. Don't worry about him. Why Bifrost members stopped working with Nova and kicked us out of Discord before we could explain ourselves. Oh, so it was just a straight up boot. Then
This is what
Helios.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is what I was talking about earlier was like I was the only person that left Nova. Like Iceheart, Rolo, Souza, like they were actually kicked from Nova. And it's like a very
Hmm.
different dynamic there. And we don't know why they were kicked because like I could understand them being upset with me, but it's almost like they got butthurt with me and then took it out on the other people by proxy, you know, or that were just
Yeah,
near me and Bifrost.
but you leaving was not personal. It was for like being able to min max. Like that's something that we did in global too. Like people would
Yeah.
leave, and like, that's what we did. We did that in global, and I know Panda did that in global. Well, that's why they even got fucked in the rankings, because they got bugged when they went to other
Because we had
guilds
people out.
to
Yeah,
bid.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yep.
right. Yeah, exactly. So then Helios and I spoke for 2 hours, and he wasn't willing to negotiate for anything that didn't go his way. So I told him I didn't want to deal with him anymore, and he screenshotted that and said that I didn't want to cooperate. That's so disingenuous, bro. That's
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ, man. And that the crazy part is at the beginning of this, uh, there he was throwing out the accusation that people were throwing out of context screenshots.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds to do it here. Oh, okay, buddy. Like, Helio, you better get on the fuck over here and defend yourself because it's looking ugly for you. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to work things out, but no one wants to cooperate.
Yeah. And Helios at the end of that message string was like, "Can we work this out?" Like things are already bad at that point. Like things are already in motion, and we had hit walls with the Nova side multiple times at that point, and they were trying to go. The other thing that's not shown here, it might be later on, is like they were actually trying to work out a deal with Legacy, the one where they were like, "If we beat you, you come to us. If you know you beat us, we go to you."
Yeah.
They were like trying to work out a thing where like the Bifrost people, which is like Ice, Misuza, like we would be left out. Like that was the way that they worded it. Like we wouldn't be able to participate in the tourney though. And it's like, well, that's really fucking messed up. Like, and that's why the Brazilians that we're close with came to us and was like, no, we don't have any such agreement with them. Like we are friendly with you guys.
Yeah.
Like there's no way we would agree
Yeah.
to not have you guys play in the
Yeah.
tournament.
And
You know, but yeah.
so let me see here. Autodidact says seems disingenuous on both ends. Get both sides talking to clear the air. I disagree. I completely disagree. Like, okay, here's the thing. Let me just like basically put this in a clear picture for you. Okay, number one, they put the blame on Rolo and basically everybody that was included on that other side, right? With no proof, no proof at all. It was just like accusation, 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 no proof presented. When you put blame on somebody, when you blame somebody, right, or you accuse somebody, you have the burden of proof. That's how the burden of proof works, right? So the fact that like they didn't provide proof and actually provided themselves like out of context screenshots, which they accuse the other party of, is in fact disingenuous. Now, I can't really call from what I've seen here, I can't really call Rolo's side disingenuous because of the fact that number one, he was the person defending himself from the accusations, and number two, not only was he the one defending himself, he actually provided screenshot and full proof. That's it. We haven't asked for this their side of the screenshots. It's one half. I got you. I think of the follower. Yeah, but that's the thing. These same screenshots are the same screen. Like, bro, look at who he's talking to in these screenshots. He's talking to Helios in this screenshot. If these screenshots were false, wouldn't Helios just need to like screenshot his chat logs?
Yeah.
And then fully prove that Rolo was lying and then take all credit away from Rolo at this point?
The other side to this is too, and like you can count me as somebody who's represented, right? Like I'm the vice guild leader in Bifrost, for instance. You can count me as being someone representative, the voice of Bifrost, the neutral ground, quote unquote. If Nova came and wanted to come to the table now and work this out, we would 100% do it. And I give you my word, we would 100% do it. We would talk through this. We haven't gotten anywhere with that, hadn't made any progress with that. If they wanted to move forward, even working off Rolo's proposal, we'd be 100% down. So, you know, like you can bring anybody on, we can talk about this, but the proposal stands and it's fair. And now Nova is in no position to try to fight us on this because now you guys are losing and you're losing players. And you've created this. It's a self-inflicted wound. You've created the situation for yourself.
Yeah, and again, you know, Helios is more Helios, Sarah, whoever on their side is more than welcome to hop on here right now. Or even I will even set up another day for them if they want to defend themselves, if they want to provide their own like Google Doc or screenshot proof to defend themselves, they're more than welcome to. But right now, seeing the accusations that they're throwing towards the I guess the legacy side or Bifrost side, and not showing
we still want to win. You know, like that's the thing. We still want to win. Helios is the strongest guy in the server. Like their top 5 is super, super strong. We still want to play together. We still want to win. Like that's the main objective here. And it's always been about stats. It's always been about performance, not about feelings. You know, like that's been our stance from the very beginning. So if these guys want to come to the table and finally get this merge done, we're game. Let's do it. That's been Rolo's proposal since the beginning.
Yeah, and here it's ironic that their message now is they prioritize playing with their friends, but they were on board with the plan of kicking people who didn't make the top 70, especially Helios, who 6 days prior put up the idea of leaving Nova to use them as a social guild, which is here as proof, and convert Bifrost to the main guild in private DMs to Bifrost leadership. I did not see these till they gave this to me on June 3rd. But they shifted blame to me, even though I wasn't there when the decision was made. This is the craziest part of me. The fact that like they blamed the guy that was not in that meeting.
Rolo was at dinner, dude. Yeah, Rolo was at dinner. Like, let him live.
Then they shifted the blame on one of the leaders of Legacy.
Yeah. Sword, which I don't even know why. That's, you know, that's a reach. It's a shot in the dark.
I don't really understand why they are pinning this on me, which is Rolo. When the details for 70 Nova people to Bifrost were made on a call I wasn't at. Again, he was getting blamed for shit that was said in a meeting that he wasn't even a part of. Like, motherfucker was like eating steak or something. And the idea came out from their leadership call. How am I forcing them to do something they suggested? All I did was put it in writing. Right, imagine like putting out notes that were said in the meeting, and then you just and there's like, yeah, he said it, bro. That's crazy. Rolo was trying to force me to play with just the top 60 people, which I was opposed to. Again, we saw proof they were actually getting over like 70 people. If you disagree, then that's fine. I was trying to figure out to make things work both ways, but Rolo decided to abandon negotiations. Well, yeah, because you're being difficult for no reason. It's like there's no world where you think that it's fair to take a 900 PvP damage reduction player over somebody who's at like 2k. And this guy who was kept suggesting to join Bifrost. Not a good look. If they beat us, they'll take credit for Odin's. If we join Bifrost, it should be more incentive for them to beat Legacy. That's his personal feelings, I feel like. TLDR, part 1. Share a lot about why Bifrost members were no longer working with Nova. They decided to be petty, and they say that if they can't win, no one can. Part 2, Helios sent a message out with 5 lies, and then told everyone to be cautious of lies in the same message. Exile and Helios blame me for everything that has happened, even though Nova leadership agreed to all this last Thursday during their leadership call, even though I was not there. That's still pretty crazy to me, by the way. If I could find a screenshot where they were against ditching anyone outside of their top 70 except Isaiah and Ishelene, I would show it here as a truth, but there isn't a single screenshot in all the conversations. I saved a lot of conversations, apparently. We talk about King when we have 10 space, which is enough if you want to bring like the top 10. Yes, we need to clean some goodies up, but how many? Okay, that's just... let me pull back... Let me pull back Raph here. One sec. There we go, there we go. Alright, there you go.
Alright, I'm back.
Yeah, this won't help me on my resume, but makes 30-page drama dossier. So basically that's the whole drama so far. Again, like I said, if Helios or anybody from Nova side wants to come here and defend themselves right now, you're more than welcome to. If you want to set a different date and you just let me know. Just again, you send me the DM. Like nothing's stopping you. But if you are in 100% compliance of what was said in this document, then you don't need to defend yourself, right? Because why would you keep defending yourself if you're already wrong? But if you truly believe that you're right, and honestly, coming from like an outsider perspective on this in this matter, and seeing the proof that was laid out by the defendant and seeing the non-proof that was laid out by the accuser, I'm gonna have to side with the defendant side, which is Legacy Rolo, right? And unless the other side can present proof to prove otherwise, then is what it is. Like if you're wrong, I mean that's just what it is, right? Like if you're wrong, you're wrong. Just be still like, okay, that was my bad. Let's fix this. Let's win Odin Cup. There you go. It's as easy as that.
Yeah,
but it's not easy if you wanna put your pride first though, or your egos. I don't know.
That's what we're looking for at this point. Is just they've got players leaving. We are overpowering them now in GL. It's like you're not in a position to win now. So like we're hoping that this just gets them to come to the table and compromise, because for all intents and purposes, Bifrost is still neutral. And I just told Sorf today, the leader of Legacy, like, bro, once Odin's is done, I'm probably going to go back to Bifrost. We're probably going to try to organize some sort of, English speaking Brazilian merge type thing there and house people that end up coming from Nova who don't want to play with them now. So yeah, I mean, it's always been about, for this Odin tourney though, just putting our best foot forward, consolidating power based on stats, fairness, performance, all objective metrics, and really rewarding the people who put in the time and, people who put in the money as well to get a spot at the table. So yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh Jesus! Even my wife is actually watching this drama right now. Shout outs to my wife, Myra, and my son Aki. Bro. Yo, don't let him know his dad's a troublemaker. Please don't let. Jesus Christ. They won't go, fatty. No way. Oh, Kenny's willing to bet one Big Mac. Kenny, if they actually show up, you owe everybody one Big Mac.
Oh, bro, so you see S6, Gion main, so we're playing Wuthering Waves now?
Oh, yeah, I was playing Wuthering Waves before you hopped on.
Damn. Well, dude, thanks for bringing me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear the Nova side of things, especially if it helps bring understanding on if there was like any misunderstandings or gaps or whatever. As I said at the beginning of this, like this is just my perspective, my opinions. Like I don't have a perfect recollection on stuff. I get things wrong too. But yeah, I mean, if they wanted to come on and talk with one of us, or even just talk with you solo, I think that would probably help shed some light on what's going on that side, because we're not really hearing from them. So
yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like it's not even that serious. Honestly,
No,
it's not that serious. Like,
no.
if here's the thing: if you're wrong, there's absolutely no problem with being wrong. There's absolutely like, what happens if you're wrong, like in this situation, right? You just say, oh
There's
well, my
there's no
bad. That's like, you
there's
know
no
what?
repercussion.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
repercussion. You just basically has like, okay, you know what? Yeah, that's just my bad. It's can you don't even have to explain yourself. Like, just be like, okay, that's my bad. I'm wrong. Can we let
Yeah.
bygones be
Because
bygones and let's actually win this whole
we
shit?
still want to play with them. That's the we
Exactly.
still want to play with it. Like if Nova came to the table and was like, "Listen, we were the strongest guild in the server. We thought we could do this alone. We thought we could overpower them. We had, a plan to keep the biggest players, biggest whales in here. We were going to control the situation and the conversation with the Brazilian guild, and it blew up on us. It backfired. Can we work this out? Yeah, 100%. Let's do it. Let's talk through it. Let's figure something out." But the way they're playing this by like doubling down, it's like we're still fragmented when we could be playing together, So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, it sucks, man. But I mean, like we're not our side, the Bifrost side, like we're not in our feelings over this at all though. Like we've been memeing, we've been cracking up every day. Like it's been a fun ride for us. Like
Mm-hmm.
PvP's been good. WoE's been good. Like we've even got Nova people messaging us saying like, yo, thanks y'all for putting together someone that can actually fight us because like WoE's been fun again and GL's been fun again. And like this is what the game is supposed to be like. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why they're crying over there that now they have to have a fair fight. Like that's what this game's all about, So just my 2 cents, but
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just what it is. If you want to win Odin Cup, just say you're wrong, bro. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you don't think you're wrong, defend yourself. Bring proof. That's it. Easy as that.
I
I
agree.
think
I agree.
here's the thing, bro. I think people are putting too much. People are putting too much. Putting too much weight on being wrong, as if like it's the worst thing in the world. Like it's
Yeah,
not. It is
and
not. It is not that serious. Just be like, my bad. Can we work together now?
yeah, and to your point, like the only reason why Rolo's putting stuff out is like you said, like the onus is on the accuser to bring the
Yeah.
proof if they're going to make an accusation. This dude's just defending himself and really defending our side at this point
Yeah.
because
That's the thing.
they're
It's
putting
like,
out stuff about us, and it's like, no, this isn't how it really happened.
mm-hmm.
And not only that, we're still willing to play with these people. Like you know,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And that, and like I said, it's like you can't blame somebody for making this and tackling all the accusations and actually presenting proof. By the way, again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you accuse somebody, you need to realize the importance and the meaning of the burden of proof. If you are the accuser, you have the burden of proof. If you're going to accuse somebody of something, if you're going to make an announcement like this one in the beginning here, right? If you're going to do this right here at the bottom, like at the bottom here, you should have screenshots to prove everything you just said, because you just accuse everybody, or you just accuse somebody of all these things, and not a single screenshot of proof has been posted. That's it. Like, and then what happens here is that instead of like you putting the proof as the accuser, the defendant himself has to be like, okay, that's cap. Like, let me go ahead and show you all these screenshots then. And if people want to argue about that, being like, oh, but these screenshots are cooked, they're edited, or whatever, it's like, well, it's the same screenshots in the same conversation with the same person, right? So Helios could very easily like take those screenshots from his side and he's like, here's the actual screenshot. So even if the 3K PvP bonus from Nova requests to join Legacy, they won't be accepted. What do you say about that, Raf?
no, it's not what we're saying at all. I actually
Okay.
just sent you a screenshot in the play-by-play, and it's exactly what I said earlier. So I
Mhm.
told Sorv, the leader of Legacy today, my advice would be to stick to Rolo's original proposal, but give priority now to Legacy players in the stack rank, because they're hosting. That makes sense now. Before it was 50-50, now Legacy's hosting. Like, we are taking in Nova players into Bifrost right now. If some of these folks have, like, 4K PvP reduction, I would definitely give them a spot in Legacy for the tournament. But if we set the cutoff at like 3K and it comes down to a Nova player or a Legacy person towards the bottom of that ranking list, take the Legacy person. And that's where things are different now. Like before, if Nova would have followed through with the proposal
Mm-hmm.
as originally
They
proposed,
would have gotten
they
professional.
probably would have had that little bit of zest. They would have that little bit of like edge
Pull,
as far
yeah.
as bargaining chips because
Yeah.
they were like the undefeated guild. They would have been able to say, hey, it's between a Nova person and a Legacy person. We're going to take the Nova person because we're the strongest guild in the server and you can't do anything about it. Now, and Sorv even came back. He said, oh, yeah, I have zero problems bringing in Nova players. And I said, yep, we should try to do this by the numbers as much as we can. But when it's close, give priority to Legacy players because you guys are hosting now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told him there's no reason to use even Bifrost as a shell now. We would have to move way too many Legacy people to make that work.
Yeah.
So now let's have Legacy be the shell, or be the rather. That's not a shell, but
so
you know what I mean.
He's saying, my advice would be to stick to Roll's original proposal, but give priority to Legacy players in that stack rank. Like, we are taking Nova players into Bifrost. If some of these folks have like 4k PvP reduction, I would definitely give them a spot in Legacy for the tournament. But if we set the cutoff at like 3k, it comes down to a Nova person or a Legacy person towards the bottom of the ranking list. Take the Legacy person, which makes sense because he's already in the guild, and right now Legacy is on top of Nova.
I'm not going to kick them for somebody with the same stats to Nova now that they're hosting it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have zero problems bringing Nova players. Again, like the Sorb here is being accommodating. I have zero problem bringing Nova players. So regardless of like the back and forth like spat that they had, Sorb is actually saying that like, yeah, there's no issue.
Still being reasonable.
Yeah, he's still being
this
reasonable.
This is why we love this guy. This is why we like to work with him because he's super reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows, right? And they say, yep, we should try to do this by the number as much as we can. But when it's close, give priority to Legacy players, which makes sense now because you guys are hosting. And again, this wouldn't have been the case if they just agreed to what was said in that meeting, apparently, right? Yeah, like they would have had 100%. The edge. They would have had, like, it would have still been pretty even-ish, but they would have had that edge in like the negotiation table because like they were at the top. But now that all this blundering,
this is where I said before that in the original proposal we agreed to Helios's terms of like, okay, if we're going to do this, I'll get the Nova people on board. But you guys, me, Ice, Souza, whoever, needed to go back to Nova to beat Legacy. Because then the whole idea was like Nova would retain their bargaining chips and Legacy would be in a position where they would like have to acquiesce like the demands from the other side. And it was going to be a little bit offset, not quite 50-50.
Yeah.
I've said 50-50, but it would have clearly favored Nova a little bit, as it rightfully should, because they would have been the reigning guild. Instead, they played hardball, didn't want the proposal at all, and then we went and basically ended up having to do the opposite to bring them to the table. We ended up siding with the Legacy people, and now we're overpowering Nova from the Legacy side. Same deal, though, just trying to bring them to the table. Except it's not 50-50 anymore now, because that has been shot in the foot. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. But we got time. I think we'll work it out. I think everyone will be where they belong. By the time the tournament cutoff comes.
Yeah, I think it's in everybody's best interest because, like, when you think about it, right? It's like you guys have been playing this game for basically
way too long.
Because you started playing NA. And it just doesn't make sense for you to lose because of some tantrums. It's just.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I'm cracking up at Kenny's comments, man.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. They can't quit Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, we definitely got the Stockholm syndrome, man.
Yeah, I mean that's just what it is, right? It's like you could very, very easily like this is like so far the biggest tournament in the game, and not only that, like winning this tournament would actually give you like some really, really good rewards. And number two, you and your whole guild are basically immortalized in like that game's history. So it's like it's
in the history of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And this is why I was like, you know what? There's two things to consider here. Like, obviously, we all want to win. We put in the time, we put in the money, but we want to preserve our server as well. And like I said, we learned that from playing in Global and seeing what a success Frontera 1 was. It's never gotten a merge. Player base is still super high. Like, the community is very strong in Frontera 1. We're like, we want to do that in Frontera 5. But as I said before, the Nova sentiment has been, we don't care if we kill this server. We'll just get a merge into another server if that happens. And it's like, nah, like that's not my philosophy. That's not my goal at all. Like, I don't want to have nothing going on week to week, aside from when we have tournaments. Like, we should have some guilds that can fight with each other, you know, and have fun fighting each other. So that was like another motive, I guess you could say, of mine. But I know a lot of people share that motive as well, even people in Nova. That's like not the leadership.
All right. Well, I mean, the ball's in their court at this point. So, right. I'll probably release this video by like tomorrow technically. Oh yeah, it's already 12. Oh well, today. It's 12:30 a.m. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I'll release the video. If they want to hop on again, if Helios or anybody on the Nova side wants to hop on stream and kind of like speak their piece, say their side or present whatever like proof that they have to try to counter that argument, they are 100% more than welcome to. Um, but if you know if they just like could straight up, the best case scenario would be like they just straight up talk to you guys and just admit like, yo, I fucked up. Let's win
Yeah.
this whole thing. That's it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
All right, bro. Raph, appreciate
All
you
right,
for
brother.
coming
Thanks for
through.
having me on.
Yeah, and then hopefully you guys clear this up, man, because like that dub is more important than some petty
100%.
arguments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the focus, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yep.
Talk to you soon.
Later, brother.
See ya.
Oh boy, that was. Bro, I was trying to farm. I was trying to farm some materials today, and I was not expecting to have rude drama until I got that message. I was like, oh boy, here we go. That's crazy. I finish this up. Yeah. But like in response to like what Didoc said earlier, like yeah, it's good to have them come in here and say their piece, right? It's good to have them come over here and kind of like defend themselves, or so to speak. Um, and they're more than welcome to, right? But like I'm going as like somebody who's from the outside looking in, I'm looking at the proof that's being given to me in that document, and I mean, it's pretty clear to me what was going on. That was a RAF. That was RAF. RAPH. Contagious Chem Late. What's the tea about? It's basically some drama that's happening in Rue LNA. That somebody sent me to basically cover. But if you want to check it out, it's right there. That's the Google Doc. If you want the TLDR, there is a TLDR in there as well. Let me try to get it. Okay, here we go. Let me pull that up for you here. That's basically the TLDR right there. There's 3 parts to this. Part 1 and part 2 are in this document that I linked to you guys. Part 3 is in this one right here. And part 1 says basically, one of the leads lied about why Bifrost members were no longer working with Nova. Then they decided to be petty and say that if they can't win, no one can, which is shown in the screenshots in the beginning here. That was actually presented as proof. Right there. And then part 2, Helios sent a message out with 5 lies, and then told everybody to be cautious of the lies in the same message, which is basically this part right here, right? There's some numbers on there, 0.1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they're pointing, the person who wrote this, which was Rolo, was pointing out that these were all lies, and right under here, he takes them point by point, like from 1 to 4, and he provides the screenshots to prove that those were indeed lies. And then part 3, Xdal and Helios I think they're both officers in the Nova Guild. Blame me for everything that has happened, even though Nova leadership agreed to all this last Thursday during their leadership call/meeting, even though he was not there. So basically, the person who was defending himself here, Rolo, was being accused of things that were said and stated in a leadership meeting or /call on Discord, I assume. And the funny part was that he was not even in that call. He was out to dinner. And proof of that is also in here. I think it's oh wait, no, I think it's up here. So proof of that is all the way up here, I think. No. Uh. Oh, da da da. I'm just not gonna pay me. Fuck is it? Am I blind? Yeah, no, I think I'm blind, bro. That or I scrolled past it. Oh, there you go. Never mind. Yeah, so that was the screenshot that proved that he wasn't even in that meeting. He said there's going to be a meeting. I'm going to play, and he says I am going to play pickleball. We know Lee's on voice. You're telling them that you're leaving, right, to prep for dims, yada yada. And he has yes, but also need you on that call. And then he says I can't be there. I have pickleball plans at 5:30 and dinner plans. So that's just proof that he actually wasn't there. So that's basically it. It's pretty nuts. You can think about it. 2, 3. Just clear this whole thing. Do you really think they have the balls to even sit with you and talk about their side? I don't know. It's up to them. It's up to them. But if they wanna hop on here and bring over their side or explain their side, it's either that or you know maybe they just want to be like, you know what, guys, like we fucked up. It's our fault. Can we please like let bygones be bygones and let's just work this through? And you guys heard it, Raph, and like looking at the screenshot, Sorbo seems like a pretty level-headed guy who is willing to work it out. Just because he is also apparently he's also competitive and he also wants to win. So I I assume and I predict that a straightforward apology would resolve all of this, and they won't be given a hard time. Obviously, like they're not they don't have the most things to bring in at the negotiation table anymore because they've been losing or they've lost. But it is what it is. It's like you take a loss and you just brush it off and you walk it off.